This is going to be industry disruptor. There's going to be two types of companies that are going to exist. One that did not adapt AI and one that adopts AI. The one that are not going to adapt AIs are going to go out of business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Next Big Thing HQ, where we interview founders and showcase startups raising capital. Today, we have an innovative founder, one who's tackling a $100 billion problem and disrupting a $4.1 trillion hospitality industry. Luca Zambello. Luca, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Luca is the founder and CEO of Jurny. And Luca, you started Jurny in 2019. And the Jurny we know today is a tech-enabled connectivity platform that leverages AI to streamline operations, enhance guest experiences, and boost profits. But it wasn't always that way. So what's the origin story behind Jurny?
Yeah, I'll start from the very, very beginning, but I was originally born and raised in Italy, and I moved to LA about 15 years ago. A few years after I moved there, one of the first businesses, it kind of just happened to be, I had somebody asking me specifically about like renting out a luxury villa, and I was trying to help them out. Couldn't find anything online. This was like Airbnb wasn't yet a thing. It probably just started. And so like I couldn't find anything online. I said, in LA, it's full of villas. I'm sure there's going to be somebody who's going to want to rent them out. Seems weird that there's nothing online. And then by trying to leverage my network, I figured out that there were villas being rented out for short stays or events and things of that nature, but it was all done through brokers. Because I saw that as an opportunity, I said, like, as I looked for it online, I couldn't find anything. I'm sure there's a lot of other people doing the same. So I literally that night, I built a landing page and start running some ads and like start receiving inquiries. I did $1.2 million in revenue by brokering deals.
Wow.
1 year.
That's impressive.
That was a short-lived business because the Airbnb industry just boomed literally within 12 months, and then tons of other startups starting coming into the space. So I quickly pivoted into a management company. But again, I always had an idea of like being more of a tech platform. So didn't really plan on being in hospitality, but hey, I was making money and I found ways to start scaling a business. So from there, I start scaling a management company. At first, I started with homes and villas, but realized it wasn't so scalable. So moved into apartments to try to make it more of a modernized hotel experience, and really try to leverage technology to automate that business as much as possible. And in doing so, I started realizing more and more how limiting those technologies were and how much I had to start building on my own. So I started building components, the missing components that I saw. I started building also a platform that helped me put together different technologies and make them work one another. Long story short, from doing that, my software started becoming more and more sophisticated to the point that I realized that there was a real big problem in the industry and somebody needed to fix it. So I decided to be that company who's going to try to fix that problem. The biggest problem was fragmentations, lack of API quality of APIs to make this different solution work one another. And generally overall lack of innovations in hospitality. I think it's an industry that comes pretty late when it comes to innovation.
Can you paint the picture of Jurny and what you can do on Jurny for the listeners out there? For the people that haven't seen the dashboard, haven't seen the platform, why is Jurny so important to someone who's managing multiple different properties?
So there's some basic functionalities that are not exclusive to Jurny, and usually you need a management software to do that. There's multiple different management softwares out there, but they have their own set of limitations. But usually those management softwares, what they do and what Jurny does is help you like making sure that your calendar is in sync. So let's say you're listed on Booking.com, Expedia, and Airbnb, and you have a direct booking website and you get a booking, you want to make sure that unit does not get booked at the same time somewhere else. And you want to make sure that your software talks to a dynamic pricing software, so you make sure you're optimizing pricing and you have possibly a unified inbox so that all your messages come on a single inbox versus having to go into all these platforms. So, and then a CRM attached to it, something for reporting and so on. So that's kind of like I want to say the basic, although a lot of softwares don't have even the basics figure out, believe it or not, even some of the large companies. And that's really the step one that what the software needs to do. But I saw that as a step further. Actually, I wasn't trying to build that. I had to build that because I couldn't rely on a reliable existing solution. So I had to build my own management software so that I can build automations on top. And outside of automations, also the connectivity with different solutions were very poor. So, for example, connectivity with a pricing software or software that helps you managing cleaners, these connectivities were bad. And what I mean with connectivity, yes, a little bit is on the reliability, but a lot of it is in the data. Having access to data, having access to this information, making sure that your connections with Airbnb or whatever third-party solution for, say, cleaning management brings all the necessary data into a single platform.
Yep.
Why is that important? For two reasons. One, obviously, is from a user experience. Everything is easier when everything is there. It's just three reasons. The second one is because when you have all this data together, you can do more with that data. Meaning, if you know that your units is being cleaned or not, and you know from what time to what time the cleaner was inside of the units because you have a smart lock that is connected with your software, so you can track from what time to what time the cleaner is there, what time did the guest check out without having to tell you because you have access to what's happening to that door. You combine all this data to get relevant information to maximize efficiency within your place, right? So that's one of the another components that you can use data for. But the most important one, which is the third one, is AI. And this is, I think, where everybody's completely underestimating in our space the impact that this technology is going to have. I think not in our space, but I think it's happening across the board. If you're not really close to this technology, there's a problem that you hear a lot of people talking about AI, but very few people really know what's up.
Yeah.
And if you're not working very closely with this technology, you can't realize what's happening. When you start working very closely and you're an innovator within this industry, you realize two things. One, the rate of improvement of the technology itself. And the second one is how little we know how to leverage this technology today. So what's happening is that from one end, you have companies like ours that they're learning to leverage this technology fast. And so their rate of improvements, even if the basic of these language models or these large models don't improve, we still have an exponential improvements on how to leverage these models. But at the other end, you have an exponential improvements on how these models are evolving. So that creates magnitudes of exponential improvements that is unseen. I've not seen that before in any technology.
And I think first I want to touch on the data point, right? AI works better when you have all the data and everything's connected at the end of the day. So the more data you have that you can connect and aggregate on one centralized location, the more efficient you're able to operate, the better you're able to operate. You're able to gather more data. It'll help you go from the booking dates to then the pricing to then the temperature to the smart locks. It helps with all that, and it just improves the overall process. So that's incredibly important. And then two, with AI, the biggest thing people are talking about is AI. We've seen the large language models kind of roll out, and it's okay, that's cool. But the question is, when are we going to start getting businesses to use AI to disrupt industries vertically? And it seems like that's what you're doing right now with Jurny. You're disrupting it vertically, and that is such a massive game changer, at least in my opinion, where you can go from, having 5 or 6 different companies in this tech stack having to operate from end to end to now one company being able to leverage AI to go end to end and eliminate the 5 other companies, and that company is able to deliver much quicker, faster, and efficiently than all the other 5 companies. It's kind of like now 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, but 1 + 1 also equals 5. And so that step is just massive.
It's massive. And you said it right. I think there's a lot of misconception, especially when there's something brand new. But here's the thing is that usually people have time to digest something and understand what's going on. Here, there's no time because it's evolving too quickly. But I think you said something extremely right. A lot of people look at LLMs. A lot of people look at these models like that's where the money's at. That's not where the money's at. That's a game that's being played. It will be played by just the big tech giant.
Yes.
Unless you're the Elon Musk of the situation that just raised $6 billion to build their own model, you're not going to compete in that game. That's not where the money's at. Absolutely not. And by the time a retail can get into that, you're going to get into the hundreds of billions of valuation or the trillions. So your multiples are going to be relatively low, in my opinion. Where the money is at is in the vertical, like you said. It's companies that understand this technology and understand how to leverage it on a specific vertical. And understand the infrastructure here is key. Infrastructure here is like building railroads. LLMs are like this bullet fast train that can travel at infinite speed. But if you don't build the railroads, they're not going to be so much of use, right? Yes, you have like the chat GPT of the solution. Yes, this company are going to come up with good generic solutions, but industry specific or vertical specific, that's where the key comes in, because you only, if you've been in a vertical for long enough, you understand the nuances and pain points of that specific industry. And so you know and anticipate how you can leverage these models to actually alleviate those pain points.
Well, I think it's important to point out that you are on the other side of this. So you were experiencing the problem. So you understand the problem, you understand the pain points. And now you're going on helping provide that solution and provide that solution more effectively and efficiently. My question, though, is with the hospitality industry, you don't really associate hospitality with a high-tech, very innovative industry. So what type of infrastructure do you have to work on, kind of laying down the groundwork in order to really use AI and optimize AI to its fullest ability?
It's a good question. So, I want to say two things. Well, one, that's actually, I think, what's going to be one of our biggest competitive advantage, exactly because of what you just said. Because this industry, it's so behind that we had to bridge the gaps that existed within the industry. That was a stupid amount of work. Yeah. And unfortunately, up until like not long ago, it was impossible to see why we were doing all of this work.
When did you start with the AI?
So we actually realized that this was going to be a game-changing technology about almost 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we came up with the first solution 2 years ago, the first experimental solution. So, but the funny thing is that we started bridging this gap and building this infrastructure even before we knew that AI was going to become a thing.
Before ChatGPT was rolled out, right? Before it blew up.
Why we did that is because we understood that having a centralized data place and a centralized place in which you can manage everything is going to just improve user experience in general, because it was a fundamental problem of the industry, and a fundamental problem that didn't allow certain kind of automations to sort of kind of like automated flows, because you didn't have control of all these points. So this happened to be that we were at the right time in the right place, and we're like, holy crap, this technology came out that this is like, is going to do what we wanted to do, which was from the day one of when we started this, was really to have this fully automated back-end office hospitality platform, allowing people to automate most of the moving parts of hospitality. This technology came out and that was like the last missing piece of the puzzle. We didn't know what the last missing piece was, but when this came out, we're like, holy crap, fits perfectly within our puzzle, and is actually going to enable us to do exactly what we wanted to do. We started wanting to solve a problem, we didn't know exactly how, and then as we were building this, the solution came to us.
Yeah, that's one. What's incredible is just, I would assume now you have a pretty decent head start on the rest of the competition, just because, as going back to earlier, hospitality isn't known for being super innovative. But my question is, what's the alchemy between tech, human connection, and then hospitality? Because there's some sort of alchemy you have to create. So how are you creating that blend of alchemy between those three components?
Well, AI actually helps bridge that gap even more, because it becomes an enhancer. So like oftentimes there's this misconception, because people say, hospitality is built by people. It's relatively true, but I tell you one thing, that if you are a guest, the things you care the most is that your problem gets solved fast. And if there's a possibility to anticipate something and prevent a problem from happening, or anticipate a need that you have, that increases your experience. doesn't decrease your experience. And so this is like a big misconception that I think happens, and AI can actually exactly do that. Do that better than anything else. And I think that's very important because, I give you an example, practical example of things that we do today, but things are about to get 10 times better than that. But for example, even like answering reviews, like if you have a company, it's almost impossible to be on top of all the reviews that you're getting, especially if you're managing like 30, 40, or even in the hundreds of listings. Now with AI, we can get on top of every single reviews that it's ever been written, customize the answer to every single review that has ever been written. And if something needs your attention, we'll bring it to you, and we'll also filter out this general sentiment of every single review you ever received to give you a practical next step feedback on what you can do to improve your hospitality company. That's just one little component, right? That people couldn't even do or reach. So it becomes an AI, especially right now in the short term, becomes a massive enhancer, and it's going to improve efficiency of what you're already doing and make it better. Same things is like, like I guess gets locked out from the units or whatever. Like, hey, AI knows how to verify that guest. AI
just automatically unlock the door.
And then it unlocks the door. Let's say it happened 3 a.m. and you're a small hospitality company. You're not going to have 24/7 support. Or if you do, maybe that person is going to take like 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to get back to you or figure things out. With AI happens immediately, instantly. We've seen efficiency go up drastically, by the way. And we can go into more details on the data because we have some crazy numbers. Efficiency go up drastically. But in parallel to that, we've seen guest experience going up. And then we've seen revenues going up. So I'm so excited about this because hospitality companies that didn't innovate fast enough before are not going to have a choice now. And you know why? So we ran a few different studies, and we realized that the difference of being able to manage the amount of units you can manage with one person, with one agent. Obviously, this doesn't count the on-ground operation like cleaning and so on. You need a person to do that. There's no robots doing that yet. But for guest experience, it's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work there is between the review management, between the guest communications, making sure that the guest has everything he needs. If you need some concierge services, that's like a massive amount of work. And so more or less, if somebody's not really like a tech-savvy person and not proper leveraging technology, you need a person every about seven units. Some can manage less, some a little bit more. By leveraging technology, we're about one every 16. 15, 16. By leveraging AI within our platforms, we have several customers there on one every 50.
That's insane.
With our next release that is being built alongside with some of the top management companies sitting on our platforms, that it's being released in 2 months and in private beta, and we're already actually in private beta, but to a small circle of customers, and then public in 3 months. We project to be one every 200 to just talk about productivity gain. And by the end of the year, we expect within 12 months, to be on the safe side, we expect one every 500.
That's insane amount of growth. Well, and it's only going to compound, right? As AI gets better and better and better, it just it's exponential. So it keeps compounding, keeps getting better and better. So it's, in some aspects, it's like, oh my God, how efficient can you be in 2 years? Like just thinking about that and just the power that you're going to have.
But what that does mean to the industry, it means that before the gap between someone that was like tech savvy and someone who wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And also the tech implementation was extremely hard and complicated because of the fragmentation of the market.
Right.
With a solution like ours, in which we simplify the whole approach to technology, plus AI is actually easier than other technologies to be implemented, to be honest, once you understand it. The difference, the gap between someone who's using it and someone who isn't, it's massive. Massive. This is going to be industry disruptor. There's going to be two companies only, two type of companies that are going to exist. One that did not adapt AI and one that adapts AI. The one that are not going to adapt AI are going to go out of business.
Mm-hmm. Because I like that. I like that touch. But seriously, it's like when you see how efficient they can operate those businesses. One, I always think about because people always say, "Isn't AI going to take jobs?" I say, no. That's technology. It always creates new markets and allows you to reallocate your focus, your time on the more creative problems, right? So instead of doing the day-to-day, very mundane stuff, now you can actually focus on enhancing the the client's experience, figuring out how to make I don't want to say apartment cleaner, but just delivering on the solution you want to deliver on, but 10xing that. So it just helps you come up with better solutions because you don't have to do the very mundane stuff that should be automated in the first place. Exactly. But we didn't have the technology to. So now
people don't want to do it anyways. That's not what people want to do, by the way.
No.
Repeating, repetitive, and
boring jobs.
Dealing with guests being angry and stuff like that. So I think of AI doesn't have emotions, so it can handle a guest being angry. It's not going to get emotional into it. But I think you're saying another point that is absolutely important is another big misconception is like, yes, AI is going to take jobs away. It's actually true. It's going to disrupt a lot of people and a lot of jobs. But every single time in history, when you increase efficiency, you actually create a lot more jobs.
Right. It's going to be like a reallocation of jobs.
It's a reallocation of jobs. You actually create more jobs there, just different jobs and jobs that usually people want to do more, not less. It is going to be harder for older generations to adapt to a new era, right? But for the younger generation, there's infinite opportunities. And it's going to create some disruption, but it's also going to create massive, massive opportunities. But we have seen that over and over with any type of technology, with the rise of, obviously, internet, with the rise of social media. Like, give you perfect examples, like being an influencer or a content creator was something thought impossible for anybody to do, just like 50 years ago, 20 years ago. And now it's like an extremely common, I don't want to say almost extremely common, but almost extremely common job because cost of productions went down drastically.
Yeah.
You can be a podcast host by having a mic and a computer and a headphone. So you can be a social media influencer by having a phone, because now you have like Ultra HD, 4K, 8K cameras on your phone. Something that before costed like, tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment just to have the equipment plus all the personnel you needed, right? To develop content and become a content creator.
And then also on that note, have you checked out the Meta Ray-Bans? Meta partnered with Ray-Ban. So now these Ray-Bans, I just got a pair. They take pictures. When you say take a picture, they're connected to AI. So you can talk to it like ChatGPT. They take videos. They play music. It's the coolest thing ever. And I'm thinking, I see this and I'm like, it's just going to, one, it's easier and easier to become a content creator. But two, it's just now with AI being implemented into these hardware devices that typically don't have any technology in them, the amount of things you're going to be able to do in the future with AI, and I would imagine AI is going to be incorporated in just about every little thing, just because it increases efficiency and operation that much. I do want to talk about, because I know we're running low on time, I want to talk about two things. First off, your growth. So you've 5x your customer base over the last 9 months, which is awesome, and reached 2.2 million in ARR. So what's been the driving force behind that rapid growth?
Yeah, so I mean, mainly, and again, I feel like we haven't even pushed for growth really yet, because I think we're such in an early adoption stage of people realizing really the advantages of this technology. I think within the next 12 months, we're going to see, we haven't even scratched the surface, because in the next 12 months, we're going to see massive adoptions, because the advantage, again, that you're going to be gaining by using this technology are going to be so great. And they're going to put you such an advantage that existing companies are going to grow exponential, which is already happening, by the way, that existing customers, when our platforms that properly implemented the platform, are growing faster than they were before. And the second one is going to be like other people are going to see these customers growing that are just going to join. I mean, just like we had a lot of organic growth. So that's why I'm saying we haven't pushed it, because we, besides doing some sponsor ads for our crowdfunding, for our fundraising, we haven't really spent marketing dollars, and this has been a lot of word of mouth. So project this being like the very beginning.
Yeah, well, when you're growing that fast from word of mouth, that usually means that you have a very, very good product, especially that fast in 9 months. But you did mention crowdfunding. You are raising on StartEngine. So that means you're raising on Reg CF, which means anyone, whether you're accredited or non-accredited investor, can invest in your company. So where will the funds be allocated in order to continue to fuel growth going forward?
Yeah, so first of all, we raised over $12 million from VCs. And we're pretty good reputable VCs like Macro Capital, Okapi, Vitalize VC, and a few others. Why did we decide to do crowdfunding as well? Obviously, I mean, beside the fact that we obviously want to have more capital, and the main reason for wanting more capital is because building this technology is not cheap, and you want to keep innovating. This is not the time to just think about like dilution. It's just the time to think about it like cost of opportunity. I'd much rather owning 10% of a multi-billion-dollar company than owning 100% of even a $10 million company. Right?
Right.
So that's why we're raising money. Why we opt also for the crowdfunding when we are VC back is because we allow we're big believers in community. Although we're technically a B2B company, and usually it's more about consumer efforts to build community. We believe that we want our customers to be more than customers. We want them to be shareholders, but we also want to be the contributors to our product. That's exactly what we are doing. So allowing customers to invest has helped bring the community much closer to us and make them feel part of our product. And so by contributing on how to develop the product, owning a piece of the company and being our customers, there is a closer relationship that you can have with that customers. These people generally believe in what we're building and generally are helping us building what we're building. And I think that's one of the things that makes us special, to be honest.
Yeah, they turn into advocates. And Paul Graham says like 100 advocates is better than 100,000 customers, because as advocates, word of mouth, tell more people who will tell more people, and they end up getting more advocates, and then just to the flywheel effect. But what does Jurny look like in 5 to 10 years? What's your vision of the future?
I think nobody knows what things are going to look like in 5 to 10 years, and everybody tells you that they know.
Yeah. Especially with AI too, right?
But that's why I'm saying that. Like 5 to 10 years, with how rapidly this technology is evolving, and the fact that we have not yet discovered how to fully leverage this technology, I think nobody really has. I think we happen to be, especially in our vertical, the best, or for sure one of the best, and knowing how to leverage it. But again, I think it's so early that we don't really know how this is going to shape the future. So all I know is that I want to be the right time, the right place, and I think we exactly are the right time, the right place. I think there's going to be stupid money being put into this technology. There are already. I mean, $6 billion raised by Elon Musk, SoftBank. This is in the last 7 days, by the way. Like NVIDIA passes $2.7 trillion of market cap, and SoftBank says that they're going to invest around $8 billion a year in AI startups. Yeah. This happened in 7 days, right? And if the top is moving at that pace and they're moving that much capital, the top of the market, you understand that A, they're seeing something, because otherwise they wouldn't put that much money.
Yeah.
B, it's going to eventually trickle down. And the trickle is going to be big.
Yes. It's going to be like a waterfall, right?
It's going to be a waterfall, and there's going to be a lot of money coming. I say even to other tech startup founders, like, be patient, because eventually the money is going to come into the niche of the market.
Yes.
Right now it's just only on the top.
And I think right now it's not easy, but throwing a lot of capital in large language models makes sense, because that's what consumers are using, that's what developers are using to build on. But everyone knows, or at least I think a lot of people think, that the application layer is going to be where a lot of value is going to be captured.
That's where the money is at.
And it's just figuring out where to place those bets, because it's still foggy. But as what you're doing with Jurny and what other startups are doing in their other niches, it's going to happen. And I think, do you think large language models are kind of part of the foundation to help a lot of these application layers continue to scale and improve operationally, or do you think it's kind of a separate field?
In a much more sophisticated way, I see them as like when I see the .com, almost like the web browser or even the search engine. So like, yeah, I mean, well, actually more even on the web browser side. Obviously, it's a lot more sophisticated. It's not a fair comparison. But why I'm saying web browsers, because I mean, if you think about it, like when the internet boomed, where do people first put their money and their bets? And it was there. Mm-hmm. But then they got commoditized, right? Mm-hmm. Like, It became an absolute commodity. I think language models, because of the amount of companies that are putting money into this, are going to become very much of a commodity. And it's going to be a race to the bottom on who has the cheapest, fastest model and most effective model. But there's so many companies competing for that.
Putting in billions and billions of dollars.
I think their monetization model is not going to be so much on the LLM or charging for the LLM, but it's going to be adjacent services around that. So 1,000% LLM is not where the money is at, in my opinion. Yeah. Again, being one of the first and building a large, like one of the best LLM, of course, is going to bring you some advantages because you can monetize again around that and around adjacent services around that.
Yeah. This entire industry is just so fascinating to watch, and you're front and center, which is awesome. I'm sure you're thrilled, and every single day you're waking up, and the rate of change is just so fascinating because there's never been a time in history where change has been this fast, this rapid.
Never.
So
I've not seen anything coming remote closely. And the fact is that a lot of infrastructure that AI needs is already built. And so like you have to optimize it for that. But a lot of API connections have been built. A lot of the groundwork is there, or you can get there quickly, which means that its applications can be huge and apply in a very efficient and fast way.
Which then leads me to think it's only a matter of time before it's going to get tapped into. So that's really exciting. 2 final questions. I always ask the founders that come on, what's a book recommendation you would recommend me to read? Your favorite book?
There's several. I think the title is How Economy Grows and Crashes. That's the title of the book. I haven't read it in a while, but I like reading generally about economy's trends and macro trends because helps me understand how even smaller trends move, and understanding trends is very important in business.
Yep. Well, I'll check that one out. And then advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring founders.
Can I give 2?
Yeah.
It's never too early. When I started, people say, "Oh, it was early." I could have started way earlier. It's never too early. Get out there. Do not overthink, especially when you're young. That's the time to fail. When you're going to be older and you have kids and you're married, it's harder to fail. Like it becomes less of an option. So you want to get out there. Who cares if you fail when you're young? Like it's really doesn't matter. And you want to fail. You really want to fail. You want to learn from failures. Don't think that everything needs to be right. And if you don't know how to do something, reach out to somebody. This is what I did. I moved to US. That I didn't speak almost any English, and I didn't know anybody. I learned the language because guess what? I refused to hang out with other Italians. I just went and just put myself in the most awkward situation ever possible, and I was like, okay, I gotta learn the language. Hang out with as many Americans as possible, just learn the language, and obviously study at the same time to improve that. And then the second thing that I did was like I reached out to people whenever I had questions. I just asked. People don't ask. Like I guarantee you that if you have a question, I try as much as possible. I have a lot of people reaching out to me, but I do answer to most of them. I'm a busy person, but I answer. Why? Because a lot of people answer to me. And even if you have a 30% chance that somebody's going to get back to you on if you're asking a genuine advice, don't ask for people for stuff because people don't want to give you stuff, but advice. Say like, hey, how did you do it? Like, how did you get there? Most people will answer you.
Well, and then on that note, where can people reach out to you? Where can they find you? Where can they follow the Jurny? And where can they invest in Jurny?
Well, so if you one of the platforms I'm the most active is LinkedIn. So Luca Zambello, like you can search me on LinkedIn, the CEO of Jurny, and I'm pretty active there. Our company page is pretty active. And then if you want to invest, we're closing soon. I don't know when this is going live, but we're closing on June 18. We're on StartEngine. So if you look for Jurny, Jurny, on StartEngine, you're going to find our campaign there. And you can invest there.
Yep. Well, Luca, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. And for all the listeners out there, it's Jurny, Jurny, and they're raising on StartEngine. So again, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time on Next Big Thing HQ. So long.
Thank you for having me.